Hello and welcome to my channel where we talk about all things carnivore. January is National Carnivore Month, so I thought that would be a great time to start a carnivore channel and put up my first video for all of you. I'm honored that you're here and I hope you get something out of this, whether you're just starting carnivore or you've been on it for a while and need a little refresh, maybe some motivation. That's all good. We all need that from time to time, and I'm happy to do that for you. So let's start off by talking about what is carnivore. Carnivore is a very effective elimination diet where you eat only animal products. Meat, fish, poultry, eggs, dairy if you're not sensitive to it, some healthy fats like tallow, butter, ghee, bacon grease. Those are all very good choices. So when you're trying to use carnivore as an elimination diet, as a lot of people do that have food sensitivities, or maybe they just want to reset, maybe they want to lose some weight, because it is very important that you understand your why. So the first thing I would suggest you think about is, why do you want to do the carnivore diet? Do you want to eliminate a lot of foods that you might be sensitive to? Do you not feel great, so you need to figure out if there's some foods you're sensitive to? That could be true too. For me, I'm trying to put my autoimmune disorder into remission. So I've been doing carnivore for about 1.5 years, but I haven't always been very strict. For the most part, I haven't gone off the rails or anything, but in the beginning, it is difficult to stick with. And I live in a household where not everyone is carnivore, and I do 90% of the cooking. So I am around non-carnivore foods quite a bit, which is fine now, but in the very beginning, it was really difficult. So, if possible, I would suggest that you clean out all of your cabinets, donate to a food bank, give them to your friends and neighbors. Anything that's processed, anything that you're not going to be allowed to have on the carnivore diet. You're setting yourself up for success if you're able to do this. Now, I was not able to do that because, as I said, I live with non-carnivores. So it's not always possible, but if it is, that is a great start. So figuring out your why, cleaning out your cabinets, and then go shopping for all of your favorite meats, whether that's a chuck roast or a brisket or a roast chicken. It can be any number of things. Some salmon, some sardines if you're ready to try that, which we are going to do in a future video. I've never actually eaten a sardine, and I'm going to eat one on camera. Don't know how that's going to go, but it could be fun. I mean, I want to have fun while we're here. So yes, carnivore is a great elimination diet. It's something that's great for your health. It can provide mental clarity. It can provide autophagy if you decide to start intermittent fasting, which I don't recommend in the beginning, but some people watching this video may have been on carnivore a while and want to play with intermittent fasting. Because once you're making ketones, then fasting becomes a lot easier because your energy source is the fat on your body that you're burning and your ketones. Now, I have been asked, I don't want to get off in the weeds on this, but I have been asked about exogenous ketones before. And exogenous ketones can be a great tool if you are sleep deprived one day, or you have a meeting or a long day at work and you need some extra ketones to fuel your brain. But what they're not going to do is they're not going to teach your body how to make ketones. So there's no long-term benefit to it other than it may give you the boost you need for that day, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've tried them. I don't still take them because I'm usually in ketosis a lot of the time. Not all the time, because I do still have blood sugar issues, which means that I'm probably still a little bit insulin resistant. I do check my blood sugar and ketones every morning, so I keep track of it that way. But if if you're just starting out and you're not quite sure how to do this, my advice to you is just start. You know what you can eat. Don't be concerned with your macros in the very beginning. Eat animal products until you're comfortably full, and then push it away, and when you're hungry again, eat again. I would suggest you having a lot of carnivore foods around you and ready, so that when you do get a craving, you can just go eat some more meat, because I know sometimes that really does help just to fill your belly. Even if it's with meat, that carnivore taste and all of that in your mouth does tend to help with the cravings. If your tummy's full, you won't be as likely to go reach for something that's in your kitchen that you shouldn't have. So once you've stocked everything up and you're on your first day, the first thing I would say is be gentle with yourself. Your first couple of days, you're probably going to feel fine. So just make sure you're hydrated. Drink some electrolytes. There are some very good ones out there. Keep those around, because you might want to drink those even more than once a day. But do keep yourself hydrated. Do go for some slow, gentle walks when you're feeling up for it. But don't get too far away from the bathroom. That I'm telling you from experience. Disaster pants in the carnivore community is a real thing. So as you become more fat adapted, that will ease up. But certainly in the beginning, you want to be close to a restroom. Now that time period is different for everyone. Everyone reacts differently to all of this information I'm giving you, because we're all different ages. We've all been eating different diets. We all have different stress levels in our life. We all have different people that are around us that may or may not be supportive. So understand that what it says online about you should be through the keto flu in 2 to 4 weeks. Well, that might be a ballpark, but for me, it took 2 months. For me, it was 2 months of feeling like garbage. And in the past, I would not have pushed through that, because it felt so bad that I thought I must be doing something wrong. I wasn't doing anything wrong. My body just needed time to adjust. I'm 62 years old. So my body had a long history of not eating carnivore. So I can't expect to feel great on carnivore in the first week. And all of the bacteria in your colon, some are good, but there are some bad ones in there too if you've been eating a lot of sugar and carbs. So the bacteria in there that were feeding on the sugar and carbs you were eating will start to die off because you're not feeding them anymore. So that'll be another reason for you to stay close to the restroom. Also, you're probably increasing your fat intake. Well, your liver has to produce enough bile to catch up to that so that you can process, digest, and absorb that increased fat. And that takes a while too. So in the beginning, if you are getting a lot of diarrhea, know that some of that is normal because you are releasing some inflammation and a lot of fluids from your body. But you also might look at your macros again and see where your fat is sitting. I no longer add extra fat to what I'm eating, but I do still choose fatty cuts of meat. And my macros are pretty consistent at 65% fat, 35% protein. Now, that might sound like low fat to some people, but I'm within about 15 pounds of my goal weight. So I do still have plenty of fat on my body. I'm not saying I don't, but I'm saying that I would rather burn what's on my body now that I'm fat adapted than eating sticks of butter or adding tallow or something like that to the meat that I'm eating. I don't need to do that anymore. Once you're becoming fat adapted, you might need that. And if you do, you should do that. But if it is becoming an issue for you in the restroom, you might try backing off of the fat. If you look at your macros and you're 80% fat, 20% protein, Those are great macros if your body's tolerating it. If not, you can back up on your fat a little bit, give your liver time to adjust, to start putting out more bile so that you can absorb and digest it. Because you'll also sometimes see fat floating, say that real fast 3 times. You'll also see some fat floating in the toilet if that's part of the issue. So those are all things to watch out for. But know that the transition period is very temporary. It's very worth it. You will come out the other side, and the only way to fail is to quit. If you have a bite of something you shouldn't have, get right back on at the next meal. Don't put it off. Don't say, well, my weekend is blown, I'll start again Monday. Or, well, this month is blown, I'll start again on the 1st of next month. Don't do that to yourself. I did that several times, and I would never fault you for doing that because I know how it is. I know how difficult it is. So if that's what you have to do, then that's what you have to do. Each time, some people say it's harder to get back on. It wasn't that way with me. Each time, the period of time that I was off carnivore got shorter and shorter and shorter. So eventually, like this past Thanksgiving, we went out to a restaurant. I ate a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. I didn't overeat. I ate the servings on my plate. And then I came home, and when I got up the next day, I was right back on carnivore. It did cost me a couple of pounds in inflammation, but I was able to get right back on. That hasn't always been the case with me. Some people are abstainers, which is what I was, which means you just have to totally abstain from everything you're not supposed to have. Other people are moderators. They could have a bite of pumpkin pie and it not send them down a rabbit hole of devouring carbs and sugar for 2 weeks or longer. Some people, it affects them for even longer. It's very much in your head. Hopefully you can get your mindset on, this is what I'm doing. Don't look at it as a lifetime yet. Just say, I'm going to try it for 30 days. I'm going to try it for 60 days. I'm going to try it for 90 days and see how I feel. I would recommend you at least trying it for long enough to push through the not feeling good. Because like I said before, I gave up on that several times. I didn't push through. I quit. And then I usually got right back on within a week. This time I pushed through it, and it did take me 2 months. It was a long 2 months, especially when I kept reading, what's wrong with me because I didn't get over this in 2 to 4 weeks. Well, it did take me longer. But now I have some amazing days I'm starting to string together. I mean, I have some amazing days where I can do a great workout. I'm on plan each and every day of the month so far in January, knock on wood. But when you start having a few of those days, you start seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. And it really does make a difference. It really does make it all worth it. And you don't have to explain anything to anybody. You just do your thing, and if they have questions, you tell them, well, I'm on an elimination diet, or I'm trying to get sugar out of my diet, or whatever explanation you want to give them. Don't feel like you have to give them one, though. I don't always. Sometimes I just say, well, I don't feel too great when I eat that, so I'm going to eat this. The carnivore diet is very simple, but it's not always easy. People do complicate it in the beginning. I did as well. Okay, well, how many macros do I eat? How much fat do I eat? How many carbs do I get if I'm doing keto? Or how much protein should I be having? That is always the big question. And I'll be honest with you, the week before Christmas, I was in the hospital with a kidney infection. I was on IV antibiotics. I've never been in the hospital unless I was having babies. So this was a big shock to my system and my children. And there was a part of me that wondered for a split second, I wonder if I ate too much protein and it taxed my kidneys. That was a scary thought. because I have so many benefits from carnivore, I did not want to quit carnivore. But that wasn't the problem. They did a culture and sensitivity, figured out why I got the infection, gave me antibiotics, which not great for my gut health, but considering sometimes they're a must. So I took my antibiotics, I'm fine. Had nothing to do with my protein intake, had nothing to do with carnivore. It was just an infection. So you'll hear a lot of things come up from people that are just starting carnivore, because as I said, it affects all of us differently. But hopefully you will find that it is one of the best elimination diets out there. Meat is the most nutritionally dense, low inflammatory foods that you can put in your body. You get a lot of things from meat that you won't need to supplement for anymore. We'll talk about that in another video. But I do want to show you the pictures of my discoid lupus if you would like to see them. Just so if you follow me along, you'll know how they looked on January 2nd, how my legs looked on January 30th. Have we made any progress? And then depending on what that answer is, I may do lion diet again for the month of February, take some more pictures at the end of February, and I'll keep going like that. I'll keep going on that part of my journey while I'm talking to you about your part of your journey, because there's a lot of aspects to carnivore, a lot of things to talk about, a lot of subjects we can cover in the coming weeks. And if your why is ingrained in your head, that's going to be a huge benefit to you when the cravings come up and when it gets hard, because it does get hard in the beginning. It definitely will get hard in the beginning, but that doesn't last forever. When I was first on carnivore, I asked one of the carnivore community people, I said, I really feel like garbage, and it's been a couple weeks, and the only answer I got was, it's really not that long. That's true, but that didn't make me feel any better. I wanted reassurance that I could push through this, and depending on what your medical issues are, as I said, I'm not a doctor, but I am here to help you through your carnivore journey because I've experienced it firsthand. So if we can all be there to help each other, I'd love to hear your story in the comments, and I would love to see you back next week. So take a look at these pictures, tell me what you think, and I will see you soon.